Fellas, there's a lot of grapplers in the UFC right now. So today we're going to be going over every single weight class and we're going to be picking out one grappler from every weight class that I think is the best grappler in that weight class that could beat most other people in that weight class with their grappling or has shown that they've got great grappling fundamentals, great submissions, great grappling defense, whatever it may be. We're going to be skimming through every division and picking one out. If you agree with these takes, let me know. Same if you disagree, let me know as well. But we're just going to go straight in there with heavyweight. And I think the best heavyweight grappler right now is Gelton Almeida. He's shown that the thing is with Gelton Almeida is his striking's good, he's got knockout power, but he's not known for his striking, he's known for his grappling. He's one of the best at BJJ in the heavyweight division. He makes it look easy. He's like, I don't know, man, he kind of reminds me of some juiced up Ninja Turtle kind of guy. He looks like Mbappe if he took drugs. But anyway, Gelton Almeida, got at BJJ, 12 out of 19 wins by submission. He's got a really good record. I think he's like 19-2. Very similar to Dricus du Plessis' record, I think. But 12 of those come by way of submission, so he's a really good submission artist. Finished a lot of his fights, and he dominated Rosenstrike. How do you say his name? Is it Rose? I've never been able to say his name, but he dominated Rosenstrike like it was nothing. Took him down, dominated him, out grappled him, and I think he's going to be a problem for a lot of these heavyweights. Tatu Ivarz is not getting past him. He reminds me of like the Cyril Gane, but the grappling version, like the grappling version of Cyril Gane. I think he beats Cyril Gane. Probably beats Volkov as well. I think he just runs through a lot of these heavyweights, and I think within two fights, we're going to be talking about this guy getting a title shot. He's super strong as well. He takes people down with ease. And yeah, go to BJJ. He's got some of the best BJJ in the heavyweight division right now. He's up there with people like Jones and, I don't know, Aspinall. Spivak's got good wrestling as well. But yeah, one of the best grapplers in heavyweight right now. And he's going to be facing Curtis Blades on a fight night. And that's going to be really interesting because Curtis Blades has got good wrestling. So if Gelton Almeida can go out there and out wrestle and out grapple and maybe even finish him with like a submission, if he can go out there and dominate Curtis Blades with grappling in his biggest test of his fight, that's got to be impressive. I even argue that we put him near the top five as well. If he beats Curtis Blades, I think we put him above Tatu Ivarz and Volkov personally because, yeah, he's one of the best grapplers. Jones, everyone's going to be thinking, what about Jones? Now, I think the thing about Gelton Almeida is, I don't know, man, he just seems like he's got the new generation of grappling. I don't know how to say it. Like he's the new breed of grappling. Like Jones is still very effective with his wrestling and his judo, but we're in a new era now. I don't see Jones out grappling Gelton Almeida. I think if it's a pure grappling match, Gelton Almeida wins that. So I'm going to give it to Gelton Almeida for heavyweight. But light heavyweight, I'm going with Ankalaev. Now, there's not much grapplers at light heavyweight. Ankalaev even isn't a predominant grappler, he likes to keep it on the feet. But he's definitely, in my opinion, if you had to say who's the best grappler at the light heavyweight division, it's got to be Magomed Ankalaev. I think he out wrestles everyone. If if he fights maybe Pereira or Yuri Prohaska, he's beating them with grappling. Jamal Hill would be a bit of a tough test, but I think he beats Jamal Hill. Everyone else, yeah, I think it's Magomed Ankalaev. I think he's one of the best grapplers. Did well against Jan Blachowicz with his grappling as well, and that's kind of what won him the fight essentially. Even though it was a nice little bit of stand up as well. And he's got some of the best grappling defense in the UFC. He really does. He's not really had any struggles with grappling yet. Great grappling defense, and he's great at setting up takedowns as well. You throw a body kick, maybe a bit out of position, and he'll catch that kick and take you down, or he'll set up his takedowns with his punches. But Magomed Ankalaev, one of the best grapplers at light. No, he is, in my opinion, the best grappler at light heavyweight. Previous to him, it probably would have been Glover Teixeira, but obviously he's not in the UFC anymore, so I can't count him. But mark my words, he's going to become champion by just grappling. Like his striking's very good as well, but when he goes against people like Yuri and Pereira, we're going to see the levels of grappling in this division. So for light heavyweight, I'm going Magomed Ankalaev. Middleweight, it's got to be Khamzat Chimaev. There's no one else. It's got to be Khamzat Chimaev. If you pick one person who gives the toughest grappling test to Adesanya right now, it's Khamzat Chimaev. He's got some of the most dominant grappling offense in the UFC. What he did even you look at his first four fights in the UFC, the way there was no waiting around. There was no setting up takedowns. It's like the second the fight starts, first 5 seconds, shoot for a takedown, pick him up, bring him to your corner, slam him, look for a submission. That's literally Khamzat Chimaev's game. He's managed to ragdoll everyone. The only person he hasn't really been able to ragdoll is Gilbert Burns, but Gilbert Burns has got some high-level BJJ, let's be honest. But yeah, he's got some of the most dominant grappling offense in the UFC. Hopefully at middleweight, he is quite, like, he does tend to do well against kind of like skinnier guys or people that kind of weigh less, like small welterweights. If he goes up to middleweight and he can do this, then that's a scary guy right there. And he's insanely strong as well. For the guy, he's so strong. What he did to Kevin Holland and Li Jingliang and even at times Gilbert Burns, he's very strong and he's a submission specialist. He can find a submission from anywhere. If he takes you down, he's keeping you down and no one can avoid his grappling. No one can avoid it. If he gets you to the floor, which is just inevitable, there's nothing you can do. He's either going to ground and pound you to a finish or find a submission of somewhat. And if he gets a body lock on you or he starts picking you up, there's nothing you can do. So Khamzat Chimaev is like a new breed of grappling in the middleweight division, and I think he's the best. I mean, who else have we got? Dricus du Plessis. Is he even classed as a grappler anymore? Like, it is a predominantly striking weight classes middleweight, but Khamzat Chimaev is by far the best grappler in that division, in my opinion. There's also Bo Nickel, but his last win was against Val Woodburn. I mean, are we even calling an unranked guy whose last win was a guy who isn't even meant to be in the UFC the best grappler? I don't think so. I think it's Khamzat. But anyway, welterweight. Welterweight's got a lot of names. I'm going with Colby Covington. Now, I was very close to going with Shavkat, but I've seen more from Covington than I have with Shavkat. He's managed to get rid of Usman's wrestling both fights. He out-wrestled Jorge Masvidal like it was nothing. Even fights like Damian Maia. The only problem with Covington is he does kind of struggle to find submissions. Even the Tyron Woodley fight where he took him down, but he does kind of struggle to find submissions as well. I'd say Shavkat's a much more of a finisher than Colby Covington. And in terms of Kamaru Usman, I feel like with Usman, he's more of a physical wrestler than Colby Covington. Covington's more of a technical wrestler. He'll use his technical wrestling to take you down. Whereas Usman's more of a physical wrestler. He likes to use his size and his strength and his foot stomps to take you down. And the thing is for Covington, what's even more impressive is he's a welterweight, but he's undersized for a welterweight. Like, he could easily make, well, maybe not easily, but he could make lightweight. And if he was in the lightweight division, he would be wrestling everyone. He would be up there with Makachev. He'd be he'd be dominating these people at lightweight. So he's not the type of guy that's going to like weight bully or anything. He's one of the most undersized welterweights. And the thing is with his wrestling, it's high volume for 5 rounds. It's not like he'll wrestle you for 2 rounds and then he'll get tired out. He'll wrestle you for 5 rounds straight. Covington's got the best cardio in the UFC. He'll wrestle you for 5 rounds straight, and no one's really been able to out-wrestle him yet. His wrestling defense is great as well. No one's really been able to out-wrestle him yet. Kamaru Usman wasn't really able to do anything. He had to rely on breaking his jaw on the feet. But yeah, Covington, one of the best wrestlers in the UFC right now, and in my opinion, the best grappler at welterweight. Very, very close in second place is Shavkat, and very close third place is Usman. But the thing is, welterweight has a lot of grapplers, so it's hard to choose, but I'm going with Covington. Next up, we got lightweight. It's got to be Islam Makhachev. How can it not be? It's got to be Islam Makhachev. Charles Oliveira, coming into the Charles Oliveira fight, Oliveira was the guy. He submitted Poirier. He submitted Gaethje. Best BJJ in the UFC. And everyone was saying Islam's going to get subbed. Islam went in there and dominated him. Took him down and dominated him for the first round with wrestling. Then in the second, got bored, dropped him, decided to submit him. So I'm going to say it's Islam. Sambo over BJJ. That fight proved it. And I think he beats Oliveira in the rematch. I really do. They're scheduled again in October. And I think he beats Oliveira in the rematch. I think he's better than Oliveira. Or maybe I think they're kind of equal on the feet. But when it comes to ground game, unless Oliveira can pick up, like, I don't know, a Darce choke or a guillotine from nowhere when he's getting taken down, I see Islam Makhachev winning this fight. He's got amazing submissions. The way he just easily submitted Dan Hooker was very impressive. And the way that he took down Bobby Green and beat him as well. He's got some vicious ground and pound as Islam Makhachev. He's got some not dodgy, but he's got some insane ground and pound. And he used grappling to defeat Volkanovski. He was Volkanovski's first loss in the UFC, predominantly due to grappling. Like, everyone praises Volkanovski for being able to survive, for being able to nearly beat Islam. No one praises Islam for doing that to Volkanovski. No one praises Islam for beating Volkanovski. And yes, I do think Islam won that fight. I think it was very close, but I do think Islam picked up the win. But the fact that he was able to just hold maybe not hold him down, because Volkanovski showed that he's got great grappling in that fight too, but his grappling was what beat Volkanovski, because on the feet it was predominantly Volkanovski's fight. But lightweight, I'm going Islam. I would go for Charles Oliveira, but Charles Oliveira's wrestling is quite bad. Charles Oliveira tends to hit someone or drop them and then follow up with jiu-jitsu, whereas Islam, I feel like he's got the full pack, so I'm going with Islam for lightweight. Featherweight, I'm not going to go Volkanovski. I'm going to go Brian Ortega. Brian Ortega's got really underrated grappling. He's got I think he's got the best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at featherweight. It's up there with people like Yair Rodriguez, but when it comes to pure Jiu-Jitsu, you've got to give it to Brian Ortega. He's a submission specialist. He can find submissions from anywhere, whether he's against the cage, whether he's, whether you got him in mount, no matter where he is, he'll be able to find a submission. And that submission, that was it a guillotine that he got on Volkanovski? He was so close to finishing Volkanovski. He was seconds away from putting his lights out, but Volkanovski, being the guy he is, just about got out. But he was the closest guy to finishing Volkanovski so far with that guillotine. And I think, yeah, his BJJ is his entire game. His grappling is his... I can't speak today. His grappling is his entire game. The thing about featherweight is there's not much grapplers. Like, we've got Volkanovski, who's learnt a bit of wrestling recently, but Ortega is the guy at featherweight, if you want, the grappler at featherweight. He's very dangerous as well. He'll be able to submit you from a lot of places. And I don't know why he's become so... I don't actually, I do. He did get injured, to be fair, against Yair Rodriguez, but when he comes back, I want to see him against a contender, maybe like Arnold Allen versus Brian Ortega, and I want to see him use his grappling again. He's got underrated striking, not that he's necessarily a great striker, but his grappling is what stands out the most. Best grappler at featherweight, in my opinion. It's got to be Brian Ortega, submission specialist. Then we move on to Bantamweight. Now, this is between Merab, Sterling, and Umar, but I'm going with Umar Nurmagomedov. I think he beats Merab with grappling, and Sterling just doesn't, I don't know. Sterling's definitely up there too. We've got Cejudo as well, but I'm going with Umar Nurmagomedov. He's really good at setting up takedowns. The thing with Umar Nurmagomedov that impresses me as a grappler is also the fact that he likes to strike a lot. He's not just the type of the type of grappler that's just gonna do not really anything on the feet and then eventually shoot for a takedown. He can beat you on the feet. He can drop you on the feet. He's got threat on the feet, and because of that, people don't really know if we're looking out for like an overhand right or if he's looking to set up a double leg takedown. So he's really good at setting up takedowns with his striking. And Nurmagomedov is his last name. If anyone's got the last name Nurmagomedov, they're already born with 50% wrestling skill. They're already born with Sambo. They're already a black belt in jiu-jitsu. So Nurmagomedov's his last name. He's very strong as well. Look at that chest. Kind of makes me think he's on roids, but I'm kidding. He's got a great chest as well. He's strong as well. He'll be able to ragdoll a lot of these. Imagine he gets hold of Sean O'Malley. I'm not trying to slander Sean O'Malley or anything, but I'm just saying, imagine he gets a body lock on Sean O'Malley. You think O'Malley's escaping that? And the thing is, he can wrestle you to a decision or sub you. He can do the boring kind of, wrestling decision thing, or he can just submit you. He's got good submissions. I think his first 2 wins in the UFC were by submission, or it might have got a submission and then a decision and then a submission. But yeah, he's got great submissions, got tight chokes, and trust me, he's gonna run through the bantamweight division with his wrestling. He's got good, like I said, he's got good striking as well. He's not like he's a one-trick pony. He's got good striking as well. Really he's got knockout power, but the grappling is what's going to take him there, and I think he's the best. And if he ever faces a guy like, I don't know, but he's a great grappler. Then finally we've got Flyweight. I'm going with Alejandro Pantoja. It was between him and Davison Figueiredo, to be honest with you, but I'm gonna finalize with Pantoja. He's beaten Moreno 3 times. All of them was because he used his grappling. He's got the best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in flyweight as well. Again, it's between him and Figueiredo, but Figueiredo got submitted by Brandon Moreno. You're never going to find Pantoja get submitted by Moreno. It's going to be the other way around. And that's kind of what he used grappling to become. Like I said, he used grappling to beat Moreno 3 times, and that's what he won in the title. That's what he used in the title fight to become champ as well. It was a little bit boring at one point where he was just sat on Moreno's back, but for a large majority of the fight, the grappling is what made him champ. And he's very strong as well. He's a very hard hitter. He's just naturally strong as well. And yeah, I think he's going to use his grappling to defend his belt. I think Pantoja is going to be the guy to stop the flyweight flyweight curse. Because right now, we've got a kind of like a trend in flyweight. Like the second someone becomes champ, they just can't defend it. Kind of same for light heavyweight, to be honest. But I feel like Pantoja is going to be one to stop that. Depends who they give him next. If they give him Moreno again, I think Pantoja wins. If they give him Amir Albazi, I think Pantoja wins. If they give him, I don't know, Manel Cap or something, I think Pantoja wins. I think he's the best flyweight right now. The only guy I really see threatening him and right now is Moreno. Davison Figueiredo is probably going to move to Bantamweight. So yeah, flyweight, I'm going Alejandro Pantoja. But please let me know if you agree with these takes. Best grappler in every UFC weight class. Thanks for watching.